Hello, you guys. Happy, stormy, crazy, weird Wednesday. This weather has been nuts, hasn't it? So I'm home from the studio. I just finished my lunch, and I wanted to share with you guys some really good wisdom that I took from a podcast. I just listened to it yesterday, so I thought I would share it with you guys. And I titled this video, The Smallest Version of You May Not Be the Healthiest. And so, again, I'll tag the full podcast. And I thought about just sharing that with you guys, but it's a little bit long, and I don't think all of it necessarily pertains to us and where we're at in our fitness journeys. But the overall idea of the podcast, it was basically two ladies going back and forth talking about fitness and just their journey with it and their bodies and all of that and their weight. And basically it came down to the fact that most of the time when we start a fitness journey or we start a nutrition journey, our goal is to become the smallest version, right? We're trying to lose weight. We're trying to get smaller. And that isn't always the healthiest place for us to be, because sometimes when that is our goal, and even I've made this mistake when I've seen somebody I haven't seen in a while and I've said, hey, you look great, when I can tell that they visibly lost weight and they are not in a healthy point in their life. Maybe they lost that weight because they have a diagnosis. They've lost weight for any medical reason or physical, emotional, whatever. So after doing that once, I no longer make any sort of judgment or assumption about anyone's weight. When it's up, I don't say anything. When it's down, I don't say anything, because we don't know what someone else's journey is on, right? We don't know their journey. We don't know their story unless they want to obviously share it with me. And I thought that was a really good reminder that our bodies, we have one body, right? We have one place to live. And the size of our body, right, doesn't indicate what we're able to do in this world, what the impact is we're able to make, the people we're able to reach and share our lives with, maybe the children or grandchildren or cousins or uncles and aunts and all that kind of stuff that we get to spend time with and pour into. And so I thought this is a really good time. We haven't really touched on weight or weight loss. And you guys know that that's not necessarily our focus in the studio, is our weight, but more about what our bodies are capable of doing. So I shared a post today. I put a reel together with some of our videos just recently. And the background audio is just spot on with what I believe our mission is with the Fitness Boutique, which is to be as independent as long as possible. I shared a little bit more about my own transition with fitness and health, and it definitely was impacted. Excuse me, we're coming up on 6 years since my dad's stroke. That happened on excuse me, Easter Sunday. And so Easter is always a tricky holiday for me because I remember that Sunday morning very vividly. It's something I'm never going to be able to forget. And then I also then remember the date. So we kind of had to hit that twice, which is hard because Easter and the date of his stroke don't always line up. But anyways, I saw in a matter of seconds how someone's body was no longer able to do the things he was able to do 10 hours before that. So when my dad went from physically able, capable, he was a UPS driver. He was still actively working. He was 57 when he had his stroke. And so as soon as he came out of that, once we really understood the impact of his stroke, after he was out of the ICU and all that, we realized quickly he was no longer able to eat. Swallowing was challenging. Speaking was challenging. He wasn't able to walk on his own. He wasn't able to do most things for himself. He cannot brush his own teeth. He cannot get himself out of bed. He cannot make himself a meal. He cannot get himself to the bathroom. He needs assistance for everything he does. And so when you see something like that happen, just like with the flip of a switch, suddenly my job in helping people to lose weight didn't matter. And the fact of course, if your health is at risk because of your weight, which my dad's probably was a little bit higher than it should have been to be healthy. He had some high cholesterol, high blood pressure, some things that he wasn't tending to as much as I would have liked that, which probably didn't help the situation. But it just makes that switch in your mind. I think we can get so caught up, especially as women, to say, I want to look this way. Oh, I see that girl and I'm like, oh, I wish I looked like that. I wish all these things. And especially as we age, it's like, remember when I looked like that? Or remember when that didn't look like that? Or, fill in the blank, right? But I really want our focus, our inward goal to be why we do this, right? Why we get to the gym when there's a storm outside, right? Why we move our bodies every day, why we're so passionate about getting out and taking mental health walks and following our nutritional program so that you can, fuel your body. You hear us say that a lot. It's all about fueling your body and having the energy to do the things you need to do. And it's not so much about our weight. It really isn't. And so, I want you guys to, again, if you're struggling with your weight, if that's a mindset that you're struggling with, hopefully this helps. And again, I'll put the podcast in there as well. But a lot of times what happens, I think, when we lose weight, we have to be very careful about the way we do it, because whatever we're doing to lose weight, we have to do that forever to maintain that weight, right? So you guys probably know that if you've started a journey on a certain diet plan, usually if it has a name, it's a diet. And so you have to do that forever. Fill in the blank, right? And if you don't do that forever, then you will gain back that weight, sometimes plus more, right? And so I really preach, a lifestyle, finding a lifestyle that works for you where you're not feeling restricted, you're feeling balanced, you're feeling like you're able to enjoy the social gatherings where you're going. We're going into summertime and May and all the things. And the last thing that you want to be doing is feeling really restricted, like you can't do certain things because you have your mind so set on this certain weight that may not even be attainable, right, for your body. It may not even be the healthiest spot for you. So hopefully this helps you guys. I know that weight is so tricky. It's so triggering. There's so many things. There's so many layers to it. But I want you to know that you are not defined by your weight. I often think about, which is morbid, but I think about funerals. And I think, when you go to a funeral, you never go and you think, wow, I can't believe they weighed fill in the blank. Nobody's talking about your weight, right? Nobody's worried about your weight. Nobody's thinking about it, talking about it. They're talking about the impact that you had on them or the life that you lived and just the legacy that you made. It's not about our weight. And so I want to challenge us all as we're going into spring and summer. And again, I know it's triggering. There's bathing suits, there's shorts, there's tank tops. We all feel insecure about certain parts of our bodies. But I heard something a long time ago that I still stick to. And I know knowing now that I have twin daughters, this is very more real than before I did. But I will tell myself, if a thought comes through my mind, and it's a thought that I would not want my daughters to think about their body, or I would never say about myself in front of them, then that thought is not helpful, and I need to take it and do away with it, right? So any thought that comes through your head that you would not want your daughter, your granddaughter, your niece, your nephew, anyone, right, to think about themselves, that's a negative thought that we have to take captive and say, no more. We're not living that way. We're not talking to ourselves that way. We're not thinking about ourselves that way. No more. And even better if we can replace it with a positive, right? Like, so if you get super negative and you go down this spiral, I want you to stop yourself and say, no, I do not want my fill in the blank niece, nephew, to say that about themselves. And then really try to flip it on its side and try to give yourself a compliment in that moment. Okay. It's challenging. It's so much easier to do this with other people, right? We're like, oh my gosh, you look great. You look so good. It's not easy for us to do that, right? We see all of our flaws. We do our best to hide them well, but just know your body, this is the vessel that we get to live in. Thank God, right? Like we have this place where we get to live. And again, thank God. Think of my dad. He is not able to do the daily tasks that we take for granted. We get out of bed and we groan and we whatever about it. He has to wait for someone to come get him out of bed. He doesn't get to exercise. It's not, I mean, he can a little bit with help. He doesn't have the choice to just get in the car and go to the gym. Same with food. I mean, for a year, he didn't have solid food. He was on a feeding tube. So he had no nutrition by mouth. Think about the quality of our life, right? And how food is something that we use to celebrate. It's a part of our life. It's obviously to fuel our bodies, but food is a part of it. And so just be mindful of that when you're going throughout your days. You know, these legs are carrying me around. Yes, they might have some stuff on them I don't like. Maybe they're bigger than I'd like. Whatever, right? This is the body that I am in, I'm going to live in, and I'm going to honor it. I'm going to nourish it. I'm going to move it because I am capable and because God has given me another day to go make an impact in this world. So I'm going to do it, right? So think about that. Maybe stew on some of these thoughts I have. Again, I'll put the podcast in here as well, but I always think it's good to be challenging our mindsets. And when we get in tough mental places, I was in a tough mental place, you guys, about the past week and a half, and just struggling, right? Just not in a good mental space. And those are hard places to be. So when you find yourself in those, I think it's so critical to surround yourself with people that are going to lift you up, right? Get to the studio if you can, get around other people, share that, say, hey, I'm struggling. Reach out to me, reach out to the coaches and just say, hey, I'm struggling. I'm not in a good place right now. Let us walk beside you, because we're not always going to feel like we're on the top of the mountain, right? So we need people to walk beside us when we're like, we're here, we're all around the place, right? We have those moments and seasons in life. So just know that we are here to support you through your journey, and it's not always going to be up here. Thank you guys for listening. I know this is a little bit long, but thank you, Terry. Thank you for sharing that. I just want you guys to know that just your being is enough, right? Us being physically capable and trying to improve ourselves every day, that is it, right? We're just trying to get a little bit better every single day. We're trying to move our bodies. We're trying to take care of ourselves so we can take care of everyone else. And I'm so proud of you guys for doing that, because it's not easy to do. It's so much easier to take care of everybody else, put ourselves on the back burner, and then we're burnt out and we're not in a good place. So great job for showing up to work out, move your body, and and for choosing us to do it with. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. So be safe today. Have a wonderful, wonderful Wednesday. We're kind of right in that middle part of the week where it's like, okay, here we go, right? We're building some habits. We're getting back from spring break. We're going into Easter weekend. So hopefully that's going to be filled with lots of fun and food and enjoyment, right? Enjoy that time with family and friends. And I am here if you guys need me, okay? Feel free to reach out to myself or any of the coaches, and we'll be there for you, all right? Love you all.